Another way to get involved is to join a cause, maybe one that says, "Not in my backyard." It's usually because of power lines or a cell phone tower, but in this case, it was a new landfill proposed for Pasco County. Carl Roth and John Floyd from the Protectors of Florida's Legacy opposed that project and won. Welcome to both of you.
Thank you very much.
The group is one that folks may not have heard of. Again, it's called the Protectors of Florida's Legacy. It was organized specifically because of this landfill project. Is that right?
That's correct. Basically, a small group of us got together. We met one another. First meeting, we met at one of the members' homes around the dinner table and started talking about what could we do about this.
And you heard about the landfill project coming, and John in particular had a real particular reason for opposing the project. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, ma'am. It was right directly across the road from my business.
It would have been a huge landfill essentially across the street, and your business is in growing citrus plants.
That's
trees.
correct. Yes, ma'am.
And what kind of an effect could that have
Well,
had?
our biggest concern was the bird issue. We were thinking that, that we may cause us a big issue because the state and federal government has caused us to go inside growing all the little citrus trees, which is for an industry that brings in the state somewhere in the neighborhood of $8 to $10 billion a year and employs about 75,000 people. So we were concerned that it may affect our business in general.
And everyone knows when you see a landfill, it attracts birds.
Yes,
there's a lot of birds, and the concern was that they could peck into and break into the covering over the plants that is now required.
That's correct.
And then the end result could be that the trees wouldn't.
They would be breached. I mean, it would breach the structure, and the state would come in and quarantine us at that point, and until further inspection to make sure everything was okay. But if it continued to happen, of course, which it would if there was a bird issue, it would almost be impossible to continue to grow there.
Well, when you hear about a project like this coming into, in your case, your front yard, did you feel helpless to be able to stop it?
Well, we knew that it would be a big fight, but we knew we had to do something, so we just started just what we could and talking with neighbors and friends and seeing what we could do once we realized, it was a real reality that they were thinking about doing it.
How necessary was it, Carl, to actually organize and not just be a few neighbors talking over the fence, so to speak?
Well, at least from my background in the consulting arena, we always have a plan. But our main task was really to educate people and get the word out. Because the surprise, I think, for us was people didn't really realize that this was coming.
So you had to get the word out that the landfill was on the docket and could become a reality. People hadn't heard about it countywide or citywide. Zephyr Hills we're talking about, is that right?
Right. Zephyr is right between Dade City and Zephyr Hills, right adjacent to the Green Swamp. And the community didn't hear about it either through the media or the newspapers. There hadn't really been a lot of news that had come out.
So how'd you let them know?
Well, that was a big challenge. We weren't really sure because none of us had really been through this before. And so we started going to civic organizations. We started scheduling time with the cities. We started working through the Dade City Chamber of Commerce, Rotary clubs, just anybody we could get in front of to say, hey, this is out there, beware, and you too can get involved.
So once you got the word out to groups, what was the response like? What did people think?
Well, I did a deal where I stood up in front of the courthouse for 5 consecutive days for like 3 hours and took a petition to be signed. And 95% of the people that went by me signed a petition that they did not want no garbage dump in our community.
That's what it essentially would have been.
Exactly.
And did you have to have a petition with so many signatures to make this happen?
We have about 3,500 signatures right now on that petition. And we thought when we go in front of the county, we could say, hey, there's 35 other folks that thought this was not a good idea.
3,500 other people.
Exactly, exactly.
And did that have any sway? Did it matter?
Well, we haven't got to the county process yet. Hopefully the state decision is upheld to deny it. But that was all a long-term preparation because we've been working for 2 years, to get to this point. And I mean, we've had aggressive email campaigns as far as trying to get the word out there. We have a website that we put up to try to get information out through that way. We've spoken multiple times to Pasco County Commission, the cities
City
nearby.
council meetings
City
also?
council
The
meetings.
signs and the banners and, you know, just whatever we could come up with to get the word out.
Then what? What
Well-
happened after that?
Well, multiple things, I guess, and we were talking about this a little bit earlier. We were never really sure when we sat in a meeting with 20 of us sitting around the table, somebody would come up with an idea, somebody else would come up with an idea, and we never knew which one was going to really work. But if they made sense, we gave it a try. And one of the things that worked really well for us, Dade City has, once a month, on Saturday, they do a cruise-in where old cars come in. Well, we got a booth there and have been giving out information and talking to people, getting petitions, and it's maintained a presence in the community about what was going on. And people come up to us now, what's the latest? What's the latest? So,
So it was really important to be able to get the community on board,
exactly.
Right.
not only aware of what was going on, but to support the
That's right.
opposition, if you will.
Exactly. And we really believe when the community was informed about what was going on, they all came to our side.
So you had to keep the momentum going for a couple of years.
Yes.
And what has the end result been, at least to this point?
The DEP announced,
Department of Environmental Protection?
yes, so it's a state agency that reviews permit applications for landfills. And they announced a letter of intent to deny. It's not a full denial yet, but that is in their intent based on the latest science and information that's been provided to them.
Well, how much of this political action that you all took play into their decision, do you think?
Well, that's kind of a tough one because we've been working, at first we didn't really want to get involved with like the governor's office and the secretary of,
You want to stay local.
that's right, we tried to stay local, work with the DEP, and then later on in 2007 we said, well, let's start outreaching to the governor a little bit. And then finally by the end of 2008, when the decision was coming down, we had a big push, email, faxes, and everything, because this decision was coming to a head. And what really worked is all the efforts that we have been working to get everybody involved through emails and whatnot, environmental groups and everything, they all just bombarded the governor's office, the secretary's office, everyone. And it was great, but we never really thought it would come to that end.
Making a difference. All right.
Exactly.
Thank you both very much for being with us today and helping us understand how we can make a difference too.
Right.
For more information about the Protectors of Florida's Legacy Group, just visit us online at wusf.org/FloridaMatters.